Hi, I'm Aiman,
I'm Hizami.
and welcome back to another one of my videos in the series of converting our open-air patio to a three-season multi-purpose room. So, over the course of this whole building journey, I've shown you a lot about everything that I've learned about building, or rather converting, a structure into something that you can live in. And, of course, we've already gone over everything for the floor. Check out those videos. The first thing we did was actually talk about the wall, so we did the side wall and the back wall. And in this video, we're going to be putting up the front wall. And as always, I want to just remind you guys that when you're doing something like this, where you're converting an old structure into something else, it's always important to make sure that you take proper measurements and create, and you want to have a good vision of what you want to do. You want to make a visualization, like my dad has done here. My dad's very good at, okay, I had to make sure it was right side up. My dad's very good at drawing diagrams, and this is the diagram for how the front wall is going to look. As you can see, this is what the frame looks like down here. This side's a bit bigger than this side because, as you can see, the top here is slanted. So you need to make sure that this side has a bit more wood on it. So, also, when you're building these diagrams, you also want to keep in mind that if you're converting an old structure, it's probably not going to be perfectly straight. And that's why you probably will encounter problems when you're converting old structures. But in our case, I think my dad has already accounted for all of them, so now we can just get putting up the frame. So, thankfully my dad made this frame light enough so that me and Hizami could lift it up. But when we lift it up, we have to be careful that we don't hit the vinyl on the side of the house. You watch the left side, I'll watch the right side. Okay, you got it? I'm higher than you are.
Yeah, but you gotta dodge the thing.
Okay. Now you got it done. Okay. And now, you need to make sure this sits against the side of that post, so we're going to push it right here. And then you're going to push it in. And then we're going to make sure it's flush by knocking it in. And down here in the middle, it's not flush against the side. That might just be due to the fact that this is not straight. So that's what I was mentioning earlier. Not everything is going to be straight when you're working with wood, so you always have to account for that. I think we're just going to fix that by nailing it in. Alright, so it turns out all we need to do was knock it in place. That's because this beam right here is actually two beams. It's not secured yet. So all we have to do is knock it into place. As you can see right now, the actual frame looks pretty perfect. Like I said, my dad's pretty good at visualizations, and he carried it out perfectly. On the right here, you can see it's nearly flush with the side of the house. And on the right, it's also right against the side of the pole. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this is flush against the frame of the wall. The frame of the side. It's flush against the side. And we already did this by, we already secured it to the bottom with 3 screws temporarily. And now we're going to secure it to make sure it's flush the way that we always do it, by putting a block of wood on the outside. Okay. And then nailing it in. Okay, and now, from the side view, you can see that it's pretty flush with the side of the house. At the top over there, though, it looks like it's still curved, so we might need to worry about that. But at least on this side, we can make sure that we have some place to compare to see that it's flush. Alright, Zami, what are we going to do now?
I was kidding.
Okay, so we're going to secure this in. We want to make sure that it stays flush. We pushed it in a bit. That's very interesting. I'm going to put another one here temporarily. And when you're putting a frame inside of another structure that's already there, you always want to make sure that the frame itself is level. And as you can see, it's perfectly level, which is good because if it's not level, that means you have to put shims in order to make sure that the frame is level. And this is a problem for us because I remember back when we were working in the back here, the railroad tie, which is the bottom like piece of wood that was on that side of the wall, was slanted. So when we put the frame on, it was going to be a bit slanted too. So that means we have to put shims at the bottom to make sure that the frame was level. So when you're converting an old structure to a new one, you always want to make sure that the frames are level by putting shims. Okay, so we knocked the top into place. We put we put another block here in order to make sure it's flush. Now what Aiman's going to do is he's going to saw these off so that it's flush with the floor. The reason that we have this beam in place, and the reason that we didn't put it into the frame, the reason that we put it into the frame before, was so that when we installed it, the frame wasn't flimsy. If we installed it without that beam at the bottom, then it would be flimsy. So that's why you have the beam at the bottom temporarily. Next step is to install the window frame. And for this one, you can see we have a block here to make it flush with the side of the wall. We have the windowsill block. I forgot what it's called. The windowsill beam here. And now we're going to nail it in with 2.5-inch screws. Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay, so Hizami's on the right side. Pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen Hizami using this. It's a good thing that my dad's teaching him how to use these. At the beginning he was struggling, but now he's pretty fast at it. You know, because he's a smart guy. He gets quick at learning. So, he's going to move on to this side, but not yet because we're still working on this side. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to secure the frame in to this side. Then we're going to put the rest of the window, the pieces of wood that go on the window. We're going to put the rest of the window frame in. Alright, so we have tons of screws securing this to the side of the wall, or securing it to the wall. And the reason that we have screws on this side instead of putting these blocks, instead of putting the blocks and then putting the screws, is because if we put the screws, then we'd have to use longer screws. So, you know, something like that might not seem like something that's really significant, but it's something that you need to, it's something that might come up when you're building this kind of thing. So it's very important to like acknowledge that. The next step is we're going to secure this block, and secure this block. I mean, I would do it on video, but I mean, you guys know how to do it. So, I mean, you guys know exactly how I would do it. So there's not really a point in doing it because right now, what I want to, right now, I just want to let Hizami finish his sawing so that we can finish the video. But I have to mention that the reason that it's so important to secure this side of the frame is because when we cut that bottom part, this side is going to be super flimsy. So we need to make sure that at least this side of the wall is secure. Another thing to mention is that when we nail it, when we were securing this in, normally we would put the screws on the outside. I mean, not on the outside, but like closer to the edge. But we're not doing it this time because if you look on the outside, there's actually a gap between the outside of the pole and the end of this frame. You can see right here, there's a gap, and there should even be a screw if you put a screw here, it would actually be able to be seen. So that's why we're putting the screws more in the center. And I believe that's all to talk about. If I didn't mention it, we have some blocks here, so that makes it easier for us to make sure that these new pieces of wood that we're putting in are flush. See? Easy. And so is this one. And now all we need to do, put it on the side. Same thing with this side. This one's more looser, so I can't even knock it in. But this one is just used as a guide to make sure it's flush. Oh, same thing with these ones. And this one's already flush. Anyway, I don't want to do the nailing because, you know, that's not going to be a cool video. And now we're going to let Hizami finish up his sawing. You know, Hizami's actually left-handed, so he's not even using his strongest arm right now. Yeah. You want to make sure you just rub it against it. You don't need to push, you just need to rub it against it. Alright, so Hizami, where's your saw? Hizami finished sawing.
Right there.
Hizami finished sawing the bottom beam. So you can just take it out. Next step. You got it?
Yeah.
Hey. Next step is we're going to put these back studs in on the side of the king studs that we already have in place. And the reason why is to make it stronger. Same on this side, and we already have these blocks up here as to make it flush. This is gonna fall, so I'm just gonna turn it around. You guys already know it's gonna be flush, and then we're going to put this at the top. Ah! We're gonna put this at the top for extra strength. Don, you wanna help me out? Being a bit too long, actually. It's an extra inch. Alright, so I caved in. I'm not tall or strong enough to do this by myself. I'm putting this beam up here for additional strength. Want to knock it in? No. We have to alternate this. We're putting this for extra strength. Usually, it would look like that beam over there, the header beam. But because we don't have enough space up here, because the door is really big, we're just making it a triple beam. I mean a triple beam. Instead of a header, instead of it being vertical, we're putting it horizontal. Alright, and finally for me. And you might be asking, why do we do this like this instead of just having it on the frame when we first put it up? And the reason why, there's multiple reasons, but I think the main reason is so that the frame's not too heavy. When we lift it up, if we had these beams in here, instead of what we had before, it would be a bit too heavy for us. Maybe. But, you know, it just makes it a bit more lighter for us. Yeah, so there was a lot of things that we learned today. And I think this kind of experience is important for the both of us, me and Hizami, because there are things that we don't notice when we're working, and my dad makes it really easy to point them out and for us to learn about them, to use them in the future. And do you have anything to say about it?
It's hammer time.
And you know, this is just a cool experience in general, and it's also very fun just to work with Hizami. And I guess for this video, I guess I'm showing you how to do it. My dad was saying, for these kinds of videos, we also show you guys tips on how to do these things alone. And that's what I was saying earlier with making the frame lighter, so that you can lift it by yourself, and then adding these beams later. But that's something that we learned today. Shout outs to my dad because he stood in the rain for a while to take the video. His shoulders are wet. I can see it right now. But for now, I'm Aiman.
I'm Hizami.
And thanks for watching. Please like or comment, subscribe to our videos on EyeOnAiman, especially the videos about the patio conversion to a multi-purpose room. Also, be sure to check out the videos for Hizami and them. My dad loves to do videos with Hizami and them because Hizami's always cool. And Hizami gets to show off his MIT prowess. And we'll see you there. But for now, I'm Aiman and that's Hizami, signing out. Peace.
Let's go, man. It's hammer time.